Alright, this is my profile. This is the person that put on a space last night for with James Fishback talking about Byron Donalds being a Florida, prospective Florida government or governor, which I don't want. Um, and let's jump into the space.
Failing under some police that you're shorted, and I'm not getting the results that I want, I'm going to call it out because I'm not a zombie. So you have the GOP stuff, and then also you have, which I had mentioned earlier in the week, Laurel Loomer's legal cases are slowly getting blown up. And this is my favorite part of the week. For those that don't know, Laura Loomer sued, and it's Raymond Loomer, by the way. Loomer has been, very anti-DeSantis, as we all know, anti-James Offmeyer, the best attorney general in the country, and she's been sort of off that now. She's sort of really gone all in on obviously the Hamas stuff, the Israel stuff, and all that. So she's sort of not really gone into the Florida thing very much. But I've got a long memory, and so she sued Bill Maher for something that he said back on his real time show, sued him for defamation in federal court in the Middle District of Florida. And I knew that case had no merit whatsoever. But nevertheless, she pursued, and her lawyer is a guy by the name of Larry Klayman, who was big into the whatever that operation was down there in D.C., the Tom Fitton's group. And so earlier in the week, the Florida Supreme Court announced that Larry Klayman, who was her lawyer on both the Bill Maher defamation case and actually a case where in Palm Beach County where she's suing Harmeet Dillon and Ron Coleman, he got suspended for the next 2 years. So what does that mean, essentially? It just means that she's got to find herself a new lawyer because, when you're suspended, you can't practice law. So, and in the Bill Maher case, and again, that case was not a winner to begin with, but they're going to, file what's called a summary judgment motion in that case. What that means is, for just to give you a quick law school tutorial, that means that your case gets tossed before it even gets to a jury. So, the fact is that when she was, going on those, not a GoFundMe, when she set up what she called her, look what happens there. But the election is...
I can't stand that. Whatever. He's got some dog in the background on a chew toy or something.
Related to what's going on here in Florida. And I'll also make the case, quickly, that why Zoran Mondani will do less damage to New York City than the Manchurian candidate Byron Donalds would do to Florida. And simultaneously just make the case why, in my opinion, Jay Collins, the buzzsaw, our lieutenant governor, has the best chance to beat him on the merits. As we sit here today, in my opinion, the way these people are set up, Jay Collins has the easiest distinction to draw in the campaign. And so everything is served up on the platter as far as Byron Donalds goes, and you can clearly see that he is, him and his people are melting down. Erica Donalds is losing her cool. Byron Donalds went back and forth with James Fishback earlier in the week. And, so it's really set up there. So let me just get into the Mondani thing, and I'll connect it to what's going on here in Florida, basically. So New York City, up until the mid-'90s, really was a cesspool. You had Democrat rule, this guy Ed Koch, and then followed by David Dinkins. And for those who, really just never saw it, there was like graffiti on every subway car. You had squeegee men. And for those who know what a squeegee man is, it's sort of like when you pull up the highway and you're waiting to go on your way, these guys with the squeegees that will literally squeegee your windshield, even though you don't want it, and they will harass you. So after they're done with the squeegee job that you didn't want, they would harass you for money. And so these guys were like on every street corner off every highway, and that was a major thing. You had beggars, you had homeless people, you had labor strikes, you had disrespect for the police, and the city was not well run at all. Then you get to 1994, where Rudy Giuliani, and I like to refer to him as his classic Rudy Giuliani, not the one that got involved with Trump and all the election stuff, and with that black ooze dripping down the side of the face. It was my favorite. And by the way, not the Rudy Giuliani that goes on Brandon Dilley's show really, and that breaks my heart, when you legitimize people like that. But be that as it may, so he was great. He hired excellent police commissioners. He made the city much safer, where you could walk there at night, and much safer than his predecessors. And then came, of course, 9/11. I lived across the river from the World Trade Center, and actually, ironically, I was going to go into work that day, which was, the subway stop there was underneath the Twin Towers. Didn't go, obviously. And we all saw what happened, how he led the city through 9/11, and then it sort of segued into Bloomberg. And again, for the first 2 terms, Bloomberg had a third term. The first 2 terms, it was great. The city was just well run, and that's at the end of the day. Aside from all the social issues and everything else, you just it doesn't matter where you live. You just want your city and or your state to be well run. You want the utilities to be well run. You want the police to be respected and well paid. You want your schools to be good. You don't want your kids to be indoctrinated. And, you want your roads to be clear. You want those sorts of things. And under Bloomberg, it was great. His third term, he became more of a nanny state guy, but still, nonetheless, it was just a well-run city. And you got what you paid for. It was still very expensive to live, but you were getting your money's worth. And then, of course, came Bill de Blasio, the communist. All right, literally took everything that Giuliani and Bloomberg had set up for him, and all he had to do was go on cruise control, and he did the reverse. One of the worst COVID tyrants on the planet. The one thing I always remember about de Blasio, what I'll remember him by, is when he made this hideous commercial when they were mandating the vaccines, and he was and like there was a deal where if you go into Shake Shack, if you show proof of a vaccine, you get a free hamburger. And so de Blasio was making a video, stuffing a hamburger down his gullet, saying, "You mean you're telling me that if I got a vaccine, I can get one of these for free?" so you know what? You ended up getting a free hamburger, but you ended up getting your hamburger with a side of myocarditis, probably. And so that was de Blasio, and it was so bad. There was actually a thing where I forgot what it was. It was involving the police, and maybe a police officer that got shot or something. And de Blasio showed up at a memorial or just a thing where all the police were gathering, and the police literally turned their backs on him. You can pull the video up. They turned their backs on de Blasio. And so really what you had after he left was an overpriced, overrated place to live with drug injection sites, legalized marijuana, and just a terrible place to live. And I actually think that
communism is not good, Agent FBI. Not in America. We don't want that shit here.
Eric Adams, I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He was just, again, it wasn't great. He just sort of, how bad can you be to follow de Blasio? So he didn't make things worse. And one of the things that gave me hope, actually, for New York was the Daniel Penny verdict. Daniel Penny, of course, was the Marine that was on the subway.
What's up, Tracy? Welcome.
Saw some degenerate harassing people, and he came to everybody's rescue. This guy was harassing people on the subway. And Daniel Penny...
if y'all are new to my channel, I stream these X Spaces. You can see me right there on the screen, Mark Tarver. That's my X channel or my X profile or whatever right there. This was a space ran 16 hours ago. You can see this guy, DeSantis Appreciation Society, is the one that's hosting the space. And I got to come up on stage and ask James Fishback some questions. And I'm just sharing this with everybody. Again, people don't know about these spaces. You can go listen to it yourself. But I stream it on YouTube because people don't know about them. So there you go. If you have any questions or anything, just hit me up in the chat. I like to interact with my people in the chat and give my opinions on, interject periodically.
In the scuffle, ended up killing this homeless degenerate, and they tried him. Alvin Bragg put him on trial for manslaughter, and this was in New York County. And for those who do not know New York County went 86% Joe Biden. So I said, look, from a lawyer's perspective, I felt this guy was going to win. But there's something called juror nullification where they say, you know what, even if you don't prove your case, we're still going to do the wrong thing. Sort of like with the OJ trial, the opposite of the OJ trial where they acquitted him despite all the evidence, being against OJ, and that was it. So, but it turns out that the New York City jury acquitted Daniel Penny. And so I thought, maybe the tides are turning because you have these people that are so tired of getting harassed on the subway. They just want to go to work. They want to go to drop off their kids at school or do whatever and not get harassed, by a stinky homeless guy or whatever it is. And so that gave you a ring of hope.
So obviously, I already know. I was already in on this conversation, but it's about to start getting spicy. They talk about Israel. They talk about freaking white supremacy. I mean, we talk about all kinds of crap. Like it gets real spicy here shortly. So stick around, and you'll get to hear a really based political conversation with people from different sides trying to debate and get James's views on things.
I hope, but then at the end of the day, it didn't happen. So then you had Zoran Mondani, okay? The actual opposite, a polar opposite of Giuliani and Bloomberg. This guy legalized theft, city-run grocery stores, free buses, free everything, legalized prostitution. He essentially wants to turn New York City into Sodom and Gomorrah. And he won by a landslide. And not only did he win, he beat recognized, established names. Not really Sliwa so much, but Andrew Cuomo. Now, look, everyone knows what the problem with Cuomo was. But at the end of the day, he was an established name recognition.
This is a space about Florida. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to Mississippi or Arkansas. This is Florida politics, baby. You can join in or get the hell out. I don't care.
That's what you're hearing a lot about here in Florida is name recognition. But here's where the candidacy of Mondani and the Florida gubernatorial election intersect. Okay? Number one, polls. All right, we know all the Donald's campaign strategy. All right, we know it. It's out there. It is clear as day. It is right out of the Trump 2024 playbook. And again, let me just say, whenever I bring that up, I have moved on. I've long since moved on. I've tried to get on board with the administration as I have. But when the results aren't there, I will pull them out because I'm not a zombie. That's always a qualifier. And by the way, I need to make another qualifier. In no way whatsoever am I associated with any campaign. I'm not a surrogate. I'm not an operative, nothing. I'm just saying this because I am trying to save Florida from a woke ex-Democrat. So let me just circle back. So what does Mondani have in common with the Florida gubernatorial election? Polls. Because the Donald's campaign strategy is easy. Everybody knows it, okay? It is suppression polls. It is suppression poll after suppression poll after suppression poll.
What's up, Anthony? Glad to have you back in, bro. My name's Mark, by the way. I mean, you can call me Lifting Perspectives or whatever if you want, but my name's Mark. I'm that guy up there on stage right there beside the DeSantis guy and whatever. That's actually me right there.
All right, and they're gonna.
I'll be jumping in and asking questions here in a little bit. This is a space that was held last night. One of the most base political conversations that I've ever been in. I'm like really impressed with James Fishback right now.
To show all the money he's raising and why they're doing that. By the way, all these suppression polls, they still have Brian Donalds, losing to the undecided avatar. All right, despite the fact that the empty suit Manchurian candidate has been on TV for 2 years, abandoned Florida to be a campaign mouthpiece. Okay, despite all that, he is still trailing undecided, and he trails Casey DeSantis, who's not even announced, and she may not even run. Okay, so again, you can throw all the stuff out. Because at the end of the day, you've been on TV for 2 years. You have paid operatives. Alex Brusowitz has been paid $35,000 to promote your garbage on here, okay? And you still, 60 to 65% of the electorate want somebody else. So his strategy is suppression polls. So when people see, and this is going to be the thing going forward, whether or not Jay Collins enters the race, is that everything, the polls, the polls, the polls, the polls, the polls, you can hear it so many times it'll make your head spin. Zoran Mondani, in the very first poll that came out in New York, an Emerson College poll, was at 1%. Let me repeat that for all those people that, all these Donald's hacks, these AstroTurf influencers, and I've housed all of them. I've beaten them down. All right. When you had the guy from Georgia, I forgot his name. He's a nice guy, very good guy. Again, all these people, him and anyone else that comes at you with polls, that's all they have. They have that. And there was another guy that responded to me the other day. Oh, well, Trump's coming down to do a.
All right, I want to skip ahead a little bit where James starts speaking because this guy's just freaking running his gator forever.
Rally in March, you're in trouble. But you. Campaign strategy is Zoran Mondani. I don't like this. They can't make the Jeff Brandes. Jeff, like the Senate who looked people in the eye and made his case. Trump endorsed candidate. Trump endorsed. How did regarding his position? When she said, stay in your homes. It is all out there, able to communicate with voters. What's going on now? Stuff about the covered it up. So a negative is. And every time I'm going to do that, and because again, this is what people need to know. This stuff. Sanders represented everything that the process to do it. We're going to get rid of Danny Perez, and he hasn't. And you're not going to fight to win time. What he do in a second. When that runs on video, Romney's he's asking that $300,000. So he really charged $5 Donnie because on the campaign deal, he's around for shoplifting. Influence. Byron needs to be asked this. Hey, Byron, Harris again. Who's on the ballot things back against Amendment 4? Okay, Twitter was
that is the issue with Byron Donalds, and so outdoors entitlement, life.
And counterintuitive when again you're the party.
Go on the trail, answer some time. Voice the I mean,
is going to go in his mouth on TV making these grand declarations. Meanwhile, there's shit that's actually in his purview that needs to be done. I have another friend. They're both, her and her husband are self-employed. Their insurance for 3 people is going to go up to $3,500 a month.
Hi, Dr. Isaac.
So,
well, listen, I made the post. I want to get to James in a second, too, because he's here.
It's like, and these are... These are conservative people. They are diehard, conservative, trustworthy voters that if she doesn't know something, she calls me to ask. I text her information. These are people who are voting for the GOP and they're getting screwed by the fact that we have all the branch and we're getting nothing done. Nothing's being reformed. Nothing's being done. And it's really going to bite them in the butt.
This was, and again, I want to get to James Fishback in a second, but this was the distinction I made from Florida and the national scale. Here in Florida, we're getting insurance rebates. All right. It's not a lot of money. You're not going to be able to retire off it. But it goes to show you that we're delivering results, all right? Auto insurance, property insurance. And again, listen, maybe some people aren't getting that, or maybe it's negligible. But at the end of the day...
but there are things that can be controlled at the state level.
Well, understood, but at least...
that's what I'm saying.
But again, that's the whole point.
We're taking care of business here, but at the national level, things aren't, and it's rippling down.
Jody, hang in there, because I want to get to James, because he had DM'd me, and I'm sure his time is limited. But thank you. All right, let me bring in James. You've been the talk of Twitter for a long time. You were the...
Hey, real quick, if y'all could do me a favor and like the stream so we can get some more people in here now that we got to the point where James is talking. I really want people to hear this conversation. This is where it starts spicing up a bit. And I think this is actually where I joined the conversation last night.
We're the one that Byron Donalds responded to, even though I'm waiting for him to start calling me up. But anyway, happy Saturday, man.
Happy Saturday. Jody, I want to thank you for what you did for that vet. I mean, you're right. The GOP has completely lost the plot. Donald Trump promised us we were going to get lower grocery prices. He promised us that our grocery prices were going to go down. Yes, inflation has come down. It was averaged 5.9% under Sleepy Joe Biden, but it's been about 3% under Donald Trump. I was on the CNN panel last night, and I'm not going to defend the do-nothing Republicans like Byron Donalds, and I'm sure as heck not going to defend the know-nothing Democrats in D.C. who have shut down this government. The truth is, Byron Donalds has been nowhere to be found. All he does is go on Fox, CNN, and Newsmax and whine about Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani does not run for office in Florida. He is not an elected representative in Florida. What Byron has done, he has spent more time in the last week talking about Zohran than he ever did on Amendment 4. This is a disgrace. I had dinner with him and Erica in August, a 3-hour dinner, where I was open to having a conversation about getting them to the place where they need to be with respect to the immigration story, with respect to weed, which I am vehemently against, with respect to property taxes, which they have been weak on from the beginning. Byron Donalds last year said, quote, "We want immigrants from anyone, from anywhere who wants to contribute to America." He is part of the great globalist scam that wants to import the entire world so long as the globalist corporations can use them for cheap labor. And as much as we want to rail about the Florida media apparatus, which is totally bought and sold by, well, you know who, the fact of the matter is that our voice, the voices of people on this call, you are the reason why this is going to be hopefully a competitive primary. I had a chance to spend some time with Lieutenant Governor Collins this week in Tampa. We had a nice long chat over.
Real quick, John Warburton or whatever, you can call whatever names you want to call, that's fine. But this is a political conversation, and it's a whole bunch of different views that are being challenged here and going back and forth on. So I don't know what your definition of fascism is, but if it's discussing political views and how we should handle things, then yeah, I guess I'm a fascist.
For coffee, I have to tell you, Jay Collins, if he runs, he's going to do extremely well. He would have my complete and total support in this race. Jay Collins is a patriot. He is a Green Beret. He is a fighter. He has stood shoulder to shoulder in the fights against people like Byron Donalds and Danny Perez, who have sold our state, have tried to sell our sovereignty for a quick buck. And so if Jay Collins gets into this race, I know that, there's folks thinking I might run, I don't know. But what I will say, if Jay Collins runs and I don't, he has my complete and total endorsement. I will do everything in my power. I will travel the state. I will crisscross the state. I grew up in the state, unlike Byron Donalds. My father grew up in the state. My grandfather lived in the state. My great-grandfather owned a hotel chain in this state. I'm a fourth-generation Floridian. I could not be prouder of what the people of Florida have accomplished. Byron Donalds is not part of that story. He's an ex-Democrat from New York. You pointed that out brilliantly. And the fact of the matter is the GOP, all they know how to do is whine, go on podcasts, send out strongly worded letters. We have to be honest, because what happened this week in Virginia, in New Jersey, was a total trouncing. The Winsome Sears candidate, that is the Byron DEI, BLM, H-1B Byron candidate. We cannot run the risk of squandering everything Governor DeSantis and Jay Collins have fought for here in Florida. And I want you to know that I'm going to be a firm supporter of anyone and everyone who fights against the Byron machine. Because, listen, in Florida, we do not take kindly to the establishment running and ramming something down our throat. This time last cycle, it was Adam Putnam, the establishment puppet that they wanted to ram down our throat. We say no to that. We say absolute no to that. And so, you look at a guy like Byron. Governor DeSantis said it absolutely right. He's just not been a part of the victories we've had here in Florida. Byron, go on the trail, answer some tough questions, go to universities and answer tough questions from the students at FSU that I met with 2 weeks ago. The students...
What's up, T-Tom?
At FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, FAU, where my grandfather was a professor for 25 years, where my mother went to school for 4 years. Go to those places and answer questions about students who cannot get a job, who are staring down the toughest job market in this country, while you and Danny Perez defend the amnesty machine. It's disgraceful. We need a competitive primary, or are we going to get trounced like they did in Virginia this past week?
Yeah, and again, I want to ask you a question, James, and I know the Greenspan has the question for you, but just going back to the national scale for a second, because one of the arguments that people make is, and again, I think that both parties are to blame, but isn't it sort of counterintuitive when again you're the party in power and you sort of are just like passing the buck. Because again, I think everyone knows that the Democrat Party, they're going to be scarred for a while with all their with their radical agenda, with the LGBTQIA plus, silent P. BLM, all that stuff. That's going to take a very long time to wash. But again, I think that you would gain the respect of the voters as a party if you say, look, we understand it's a work in progress. Bear with us, because I can tell you right now, my health insurance premiums went up, and I can say that I'm out. Right. So again, this is one of the things that you brought about with Byron Donald. The guy just refuses to take any ownership of anything. And this just happened under his watch. And the one thing that is the hypocrisy, all right? Because I remember when you had posted this stuff about the H-1B, then he's going on about the filibuster, right? And I get it. People, there are arguments to be about abolishing it. But the fact is, in 2022, he's on video. He wanted to preserve it. So this just shows that he's a man of zero core beliefs.
He has none. He has none. No beliefs. And that's why he sends his little thug, Randy Fine, to berate me. Randy Fine has never called me in my life. He calls me for 42 minutes threatening me that if I run or if I support Jay Collins or anyone, any DeSantis candidate, I'd love to see Casey run. I think Casey would be marvelous. But why is Randy Fine, who is another establishment hack, who has rammed down our throats, why is he trying to rig the gubernatorial primary in Florida? Floridians do not take kind to that. If Byron Donalds wants to travel this state from Holmes County to Hernando County to Citrus to Charlotte, it doesn't matter. If he wants to travel the state and get yelled at by voters for siding with Danny Perez, for siding with the H-1B lobby, for siding against Governor DeSantis and siding with Kamala Harris, this is absolutely inane. And it's completely disgraceful the way he and his wife have taken this sense of entitlement. Entitlement. He and his wife go around, I'm the next 47th governor. His wife is advertising donations for her luncheon saying the next First Lady. The people of Florida reject that. We want somebody who's actually going to earn our vote and earn our trust. And I'll tell you, Jay Collins, I had a very good conversation with him on Tuesday. He is willing to go out there and earn the votes. Casey DeSantis would be willing to go out there to earn the votes of Floridians.
Yeah, and it's just funny. I want to get to Greenspan in a second. You saw the last time, James. I don't know if you had seen it. I posted once in a while too. The last time Byron Donalds had to answer questions, it was at a town hall in, I think it was Estero, and he went off the rails and he played the race card on his own constituents. What he said? Why are you? Wait, is this how you treat me?
I don't know what you're talking about. The Doge cuts. You talking about the Florida Doge, Nessa?
Black hour microphone. It's just that's what happens. Is that it's the sense of entitlement, and then when you question authority, they blow up at you. And I think at the end of the day, that's why you have 60 to 65% of people undecided, because it's a clear message. They want somebody else.
They want someone else, and I'll tell you this. We can have our disagreements about Byron. We can disagree with him on the substance of the issues. But don't he dare, or his wife, or his influencers, blackmail us into voting for him because he's black. The fact that he's black has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that he's an America Last stooge, the fact that he's in bed with Danny Perez and the do-nothing Florida House Republicans. That is the issue with Byron Donalds. And so I'll tell you right now, we are not going to be blackmailed to vote for him because he's black. That's some Kamala Harris DEI hire nonsense. We reject that in Florida. We reject identity politics, and we are never going to stand for that.
Thanks. All right, James, you want to take a quick question before, or are you going to hang in here for a bit?
I'm here. Yeah, I'll hang out for a bit. Yeah.
I had a special request for a question. All right, Greenspan, you're up.
Hey, thanks, Dos. Can you hear me?
Do you need a call? Loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. James, thanks for joining. I speak on behalf of a lot of people.
As a matter of fact, we do give a fuck about, or we do care about that, Nessa. That's why MAGA is rebelling against Trump right now. I was super MAGA, and I'm completely against what Trump is doing, selling us out to other countries. So, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, Nessa. The MAGA spaces that I go into and the people that I talk to, no, you don't shut your ass up. What are you talking about? I'm sitting here agreeing with you, and you want to fight with me about agreeing with you. I don't know how you're ever gonna get to any good place in your argument when somebody's agreeing with you and you want to shut them up. I mean, come on, Nessa.
a lot of people in this room. When I say you've been saying a lot of really kick-ass stuff with the H-1Bs going against Byron, all the great stuff about Jay. I think a lot of us who are very involved with DeSantis in the 2024 primary, we have a little PTSD with the whole Vivek dynamic. And, Susie Wiles is very smart. She knows that her guy, Byron, has a very high...
Real quick, let me jump in here. The Trump thing. So Trump, we voted for mass deportations. We're not getting those. Like, he ain't even close to no mass deportation. We voted for deep state arrest. He comes on, tells us what Epstein files, right? Because it's a big freaking satanic pedophile cult, and you ain't in it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I wanted to believe that Trump was better than that. I don't know. They got him by the balls with something. I don't know if it's his daughter or whatever, or if he's just scared that they're gonna Charlie Kirk his butt or whatever. But there's something really bad going on because Trump has sold his voters completely out.
Floor and low ceiling. And so a lot of people are concerned that there's going to be some sort of insurgency to help break up the other piece of that vote. Now, you've been very praising of Jay Collins, but I think a lot of people are concerned, if you get in this race, and anyone's allowed to run, I don't want to be a gatekeeper or anything like that. Is there anything that we have to worry about on that front? Because...
Stoney in there throwing some shade. Oh, no. I try to attack the arguments, not the people, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, I think you get where I'm going with this.
I completely get where you're going with this. Let me first say, I have met Susie Wiles twice in my life, both in casual encounters. I'll tell you right now, I've never said this publicly until now. I got a very stern warning from the White House when I had shared with them recently that I was thinking about running. A very stern warning, and that is to say nothing about Randy Fahn and some of the folks that I've heard from this week. I share your concern about a Vivek-style spoiler candidate. Vivek is a friend. I've known him for a while, but I disagree with him on a number of issues, two of which are the H-1B scam, which he has still stood by, and the second of which is this idea that he wants to berate Americans for going to church on Sunday or going to a college football on Saturday game instead of studying for the math test or the chemistry exam. And so that is not the case at all. What I discuss with folks, and I told this to Lieutenant Governor Collins when I saw him on Tuesday, is that if we are going to beat Byron Donalds, if we are going to beat the Danny Perez amnesty machine, if we're going to beat the H-1B globalist lobby, we have to put up a united front. And I am determined to do that, and we'll see what happens. I just don't know what Lieutenant Governor Collins' thinking is on this. I haven't made a decision myself, to tell you the truth, either. Just for complete background, I grew up in Davie. I grew up in Broward County. My father's a Floridian. His father, my grandfather he fought in World War II. I've lived in the state my entire life. I went to public high school. I graduated from Boyd H. Anderson in Broward County. I went off to college in D.C. I did that for 2 years. I dropped out. I started a hedge fund. I did that for...
Hey, if Trump did what, Xavier? If Trump did what, the uproar would be nuts. I didn't catch what you were talking about.
5 years. I worked at another hedge fund as an interest rate derivatives trader for 3 years. And then I launched my own investment firm called Azoria, which we call a pro-worker, pro-America, anti-DEI investment firm. And that's what I've done. I now live in the Florida Panhandle in Madison. I've gotten a chance to travel the state for two really specific reasons. The first of which is my nonprofit Incubate Debate, just how it sounds. Incubate Debate is a no-cost debate league that hosts free debate tournaments for students from all over the state with the...
Oh, it says message retracted for me. You're talking about what Stoney said, I think, but it says message retracted. I think he deleted that message, whatever he said.
Particular focus on rural counties. In fact, the state championship we hosted in 2022 was in Glades County in the very small town of Moorhaven, which only has 1,200 residents. It was the first time ever a state-based championship was ever held in Glades County. And we just had a big tournament at Jacksonville University in Duval County. So I've gotten a chance to literally visit every single corner of our state for the past 6 years now. I launched Incubate at the University of Miami with 16 students from Miami-Dade and Broward County. It's always been free. It's a free debate camp. And then I had a chance to travel travel the state giving assemblies for my nonprofit called NEO. It means not even once. It's about fentanyl. It's about educating the youth for a high impact, accessible fentanyl assembly, building on the incredible work that First Lady DeSantis has done in this space. And so I have been really quiet. I've not been someone who's been very public. I've been blessed to have this platform over the last year or so, because again, when I was running a hedge fund and working at another hedge fund, I quite literally could not be public about politics. That was just by nature of the industry. But I've been proud to, you know, in a very small way, work in the background on a couple key issues that I care about, which are public access to extracurriculars and warning kids, much like First Lady DeSantis has, about the ills of drugs and fentanyl in particular.
Thanks, James. All right, all right. I got some hands, and as we know how I run my hands, I go to ladies first. She's been up. What's up, Jan? How are you?
Hi, how are you? I won't take long. I just wanted to say this. Your introduction was great, okay? And what I keep seeing Byron Donalds do on every TV interview is this. We're going to take Florida to the next level, He never, ever talks about any plans, anything that needs to be taken to the next level. If everything you said in your preliminary introduction, all those negatives against Byron, we put a bullet point presentation together with all the wins DeSantis has had in his years. Which one of those is Byron going to pick out and say, oh, we're going to make illegal immigration better than a DeSantis? We're going to get.
As far as where I was at, I just woke up politically, kind of, like right around the time we were trying to get Trump elected, because I thought if Kamala got in there, our country would be absolutely screwed. And I believed in Trump. I believed that he was going to do the things that he said he was going to do, and unfortunately, that's not happening. You know, so now I'm doing everything that I can to just get behind good candidates that seem like that they're going to do what they say that they're going to do and actually be America first and not Israel first. So, I mean, that my biggest problem with Trump is that he's not giving us mass deportations, and he's not making the deep state arrests, which I think are pivotal to save our country from this invasion and from being ran by these pedophile rings and crap. I mean, and corporations and all the greed and everything. It's just, he's just all about my money, and Trump's money. I got money, you know, and he's not working for the American people no more.
Rid of more. We're going to give another $1 billion to the Florida Everglades for restoration. We're going to open up all these reservoirs to make more clean water. We're going to give more money to cancer research. These are wins. To me, he's like a smug. I don't even know the right word for him to go and say, we're going to take it to the next level. No, there is no next level for you, Mr. Donalds. And frankly, his wife, who, you know, I'm from Naples, going around saying to people, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, you're losers, you're bots, you don't exist. How in the world do you think you're going to get people on your side when you alienate them? And
I agree. We call out both sides. As I'm calling out my side right now with Trump and all these rhinos that are not American first, bro. As far as Palantir concerned, I don't want any part of Vance or Palantir's bullshit, Peter Thiel and all that crap. I'm 100% against the police state. Okay, so I don't know why you think that we're not on the same page on that. But I don't know any actual conservative that's okay with any of that shit.
And finally, I'll say this after Tuesday's elections. Right after it, everybody, you know, the GOP, the administration, the influencers came out and said, oh, it was no big deal. I mean, those were blue cities and blue states. We expected them to win. Then 2 days later, they got their ass handed to them, and they all came out with a new message, which is, we hear you now, Benny Johnson, we hear you. We're going to work on housing for young people and everything. It's like, Are you that? I mean, this is who you are. It took you losing to understand that you are not listening to your own constituents. Benny Johnson, who put together a video for Mar-a-Lago showing a buffet with food that was probably thousands and thousands of dollars in your face, while people like Jody said she's helping pay for their few meals. It's unbelievable how out of touch they are. They need to get, they're not going to win much more in 26 either, in my opinion.
And they're not. Well, you're absolutely right. They're not going to win. And guess what? They deserve to lose. I was on this panel last night and they played this clip of President Trump saying it's a con job if the Democrats are complaining about affordability. I know I literally did have to bite my tongue when that clip was playing because I was laughing. The idea that it's a con job, that there's an affordability crisis. We know there's an affordability crisis. And Byron Donald's solution is what exactly? He wants to make Florida the crypto capital of the world? Do we really want Florida to become Dubai? Is that some kind of joke? He has no plan. He's been in this race for 8 months. His entire issues page on his website is 8 issues. The first of which is to back the Trump agenda, whatever that is supposed to mean. That's why anybody who wants to run in this race, who wants to put their hat in and advance a policy proposal, has to do it because Byron Donalds has gone unchallenged for 8 months. And I got to tell you, Lieutenant Governor Collins is going to be a great contender. His vision, his fight, his specificity. This is not a guy who's going to back down from a fight. No way. And I'd love to see him and Byron, Lieutenant Governor Collins and Congressman Donalds, go on a stage together and actually debate the issues. When we do that, we win this state and we preserve what Governor DeSantis has done. And I got to be completely honest here. No one is going to be able to fill Ron DeSantis' shoes. Let's just be honest. If I run, I am never going to intend to fill Ron DeSantis' shoes. My goal, my simple goal, is to preserve what he and the First Lady have done. They took the arrows. They took the bullets. They took the criticism from Fauci to Birx to Biden to everybody, and they stood strong and protected our state, my state. No one should ever try to top what Ron DeSantis did. He is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time, and I would love to see lieutenant governors succeed in his footsteps.
By the way, you mentioned the crypto. Let's not forget that donating $500,000 to the Byron Donalds campaign, the Winklevoss brothers. So it's all out there. So anyway, let me get to my good friend. I haven't seen him in a while. Raging Rigo. How are you?
Well.
Happy Saturday, man.
I just want to say this. Thank you guys, and thank you, DeSantis Appreciation, for hosting the greatest Byron Donalds pro rally on the internet. You know this guy's going to win. I mean, look at all the good things he's doing. Byron Donalds for president. I don't know.
I agree, Xavier. The American people are waking up politically and getting more engaged, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's what our founding fathers intended for us to be. They said you can have a constitutional republic as long as you can keep it, and if we're not engaged, we got fat and happy and lazy, and just we elected these people and then didn't hold their feet to the fire. And nobody's getting what we want. I don't think it's the left versus right anymore. I think it's the elite versus the peasants, us, the regular people, and we're being run by oligarchy, and it's just ridiculous at this point.
Just see how you doing, DeSantis. I had to tease you.
I gotta say, you have my laugh down pat. By the way, you're getting pretty close. Whenever I go into your spaces and I finish with a laugh, so it's actually very good. But I hope you're doing all right.
Yeah,
what's up?
It's good, man. I just checking you guys out. You're really passionate about stuff.
It is. Listen, it's important because again, you have to, listen. No.
I didn't see a question from you, Nessa, about Social Security.
No matter what happens, you have to sort of, take interest in what's going on with you locally. And my whole thing is, and James, I like your take on it too, is I'm just opposed, elections should be won on the merits. There should be zero sense of entitlement. My whole thing is that the Donalds candidacy, in my opinion, has always been political currency for campaigning for Trump the last years, and that's what he wants to do. Great. As a matter of fact, DeSantis was on video saying that. But I just think that he is political currency, and he's being foisted upon Florida by the regime. And I think that's unacceptable.
Well, that's exactly right. And let me just give you some inside baseball.
Wasn't Susie Wiles part of DeSantis' admin at one point? Just checking in.
Not the admin. She was part of the campaign, and then they parted ways.
And
he fired her.
And let me just give some inside baseball.
So you guys are rooting for Collins, is what I understand, DeSantis.
Well, I think Lieutenant Governor Collins would be great. Absolutely. And I just wanted to give
James, you're really passionate. It's funny seeing how passionate you are, but good. I mean, DeSantis is the greatest governor in the United States. Too bad there's not going to be another one like him. Maybe he could run for senator or something. Do something else.
Well, in all fairness to Region Rigo, he always gives me shade because he says that he'll be. He's
going to be the HUD secretary.
and again, that's why I love Rigo, because because he doesn't mean it, but he says it in good fun. And at the end of the day, listen, we can always go back and forth, but whenever you have discourse and you laugh at the end, it's so great, and that's why I miss going through Rigo's phases sometimes too.
Yeah.
And by the way, now that I'm here, I see my brother Nathan is here, and let me just say, and I don't know if he's going to speak or not. Happy belated birthday! It was his birthday yesterday, and one of my favorite people on here. So I love you. Happy belated birthday, Nathan Bailey. But be that as it may, Rigo, you got anything else, or I got because
I'm enjoying you guys' space.
It's so good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I miss you in my spaces. Maybe we'll hook up. Yeah,
we will, absolutely. All right, let me get to Mark. He's been on hold for a while. Then I get to the great Chris Nelson. Then Chris. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm fine. I really appreciate y'all holding this space and the hard work that everybody's putting in. As a resident and taxpayer, I'm concerned about equal representation for all ethnic groups in our community and country. Every other ethnic group, whether Somali, Jewish, Black, or Latino, can openly advocate for their people's rights, culture, and issues without backlash. Ilhan Omar, a congresswoman, proudly states that she's advancing Somalia's interests in U.S. policy, and that's celebrated as diversity. But if a white American stands up and says, I advocate for white people's rights and issues, like fair housing, job protections, or cultural preservation, they're immediately labeled racist, a Nazi, they're canceled, or, whatever, expelled from society. Why does our government allow and fund representation for every ethnic group except white Americans? We pay taxes without this voice. Isn't that taxation without representation? How will y'all ensure true equity for all residents, including those of European descent?
Oh, I have no idea. so again, is that all you got? What was your take, Mark, on the Byron Donald stuff? Because you're in Florida, are you thumbs up or thumbs down?
I think Byron Donalds is the absolute shill, and any APAC candidate can kiss grits for the foreseeable future. Any Israel first person is cooked.
Well, and Mark, I just want to add to your point as well. I think you're right. I see you're in Plant City, Eastern Hillsborough County. I know it well. I think you're absolutely right. The fact that Black Americans can advocate for Black causes, Hispanic Americans can advocate for Hispanic causes, Somali Americans can advocate for Somali causes. Why is there this stigma? Why do white Americans, why do we get punished? Why do we get slandered with that racist lie when we stand up for ourselves? Look, it's okay to be white. It's absolutely okay. We should never feel ashamed about it. And I'm sick and tired of people like Byron Donalds trying to play the race card like Kamala Harris did. And if you don't vote for him, trust me, his influencers, perhaps even his own wife, they're going to call us racist, bigoted Republicans. You're in Hillsborough, I'm in Madison and North Florida, and I can tell you, there are Black people who do not want to vote for Byron Donalds. It has nothing to do with his race. It is a globalist shill. He is pro-amnesty, pro-mass migration, pro-weed. As far as I'm concerned, he's pro-abortion. He did nothing on the key issues of course, Amendment 3 and Amendment 4. Stand up, stand strong, because we have to defeat this man no matter what. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be in this fight however I can to defeat Byron Donalds. If that means supporting Lieutenant Governor Collins, I will do that 100%.
James, can you give us that inside baseball?
Hold on, Greenspan, go ahead.
James, can you give us that inside baseball you were going to say, and then we kind of talked over you? That's all I came up to say.
Oh, yes, this is a really good inside baseball thing. Okay, so here's the thing. The two finalists to become vice president were J.D. Vance and Byron Donalds. Not many people know that. I know that because I was close to a lot of what was going on. The two finalists were J.D. Vance and Byron Donalds. Think about it this way. President Trump didn't think of Byron Donalds enough to make him the vice president. As a consolation, the Byron Donalds camp tried to become HUD Secretary, Housing and Urban Development. President Trump didn't think highly enough of Byron Donalds to make him Cabinet Secretary. So he didn't think highly enough to make him the Vice President of the United States. Didn't think highly enough to make him a Cabinet Secretary. Honestly, a low-tier Cabinet Secretary. This is not Treasury or Commerce or State. And now, as a consolation prize for not becoming the vice president and not becoming a Senate-confirmed cabinet secretary, he is being foisted on us by the establishment. The idea that Byron Donalds earned an endorsement, it's like saying if I went to McDonald's and I'm the only person who interviewed for the job and then they gave me the job, that I said I earned the job and I beat out an entire competition of people and I earned the job in a competitive field. No, the only person who was seeking that endorsement was Byron Donalds. He got the endorsement in large part because he was passed up by President Trump for VP because he wasn't qualified, and was passed up by a cabinet secretary because he wasn't qualified. If he wasn't qualified to be the vice president or to be the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, how on earth is he qualified to take the reins from the greatest governor, not just in the history of Florida, the greatest governor in America? It doesn't make any sense, and I'm sick and tired of this guy trying to be rammed down our throat.
Yeah, one of the things, by the way, because I want to talk about the amendment stuff for a second, James, and I don't want your insight on this, is because the reason why I make a lot of hay out of it is because, first of all, it wasn't like a law that would have been passed, right? This would have been in our state constitution, and as everybody knows, once you get something in your state constitution, you can't get that back. That's it. It's in there forever. It's in there in perpetuity. And so, one of the pushbacks I always got as far as him not saying anything was, well, it's a state issue, he's a federal congressman. I think that's baloney because, when you're an elected representative, you represent the constituents' best interest. It doesn't matter if it's a federal issue involved. If it affects their day-to-day life, you have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they're okay. So when you have these amendments, number one, Amendment 4, financed a large part by out-of-state hedge fund billionaires, about $100 million to $125 million. Same thing, Amendment 3, by big corporations, special interests, over $150 million. When you don't for Amendment 4, he had to get goaded out on stage at an event to come out and oppose it. If he wasn't asked that question, whether or not he opposed it, who knows what he would have said. But Amendment 3 is even more egregious because, that was a legalized marijuana amendment. We all know that he got arrested for marijuana, and he's on video, talking about legalization of marijuana. The fact is that when you're an elected representative, you also have a platform. So this guy doesn't put out one post saying, hey, donate to Florida Freedom Fund or wherever. We're fighting this amendment if you don't want legalized marijuana in your streets. He doesn't do that. The first thing he says on Amendment 3 was a day after early voting had started. Okay? Early voting had started. So he doesn't help raise money. He doesn't do anything. And so it goes above and beyond the marijuana issue. It goes to your ability to take a stand. And the fact that he was absent from that, speak to that, right? The
Absolutely.
Inability for him to take a stand on something that would be in his state constitution.
Which would be really hard to reverse. You're absolutely right. Think about it. This guy has whined about Zohran Mamdani more in the last 2 weeks than he ever did to stand up for Amendment 3 and 4. Who was leading that fight? It was Ron DeSantis, Casey DeSantis, James Othmeyer, and Jay Collins, among many other patriots in this space right now who are actually going out there. I was a part of this in my parish in Madison County, St. Vincent de Paul, when we were going out and putting up signs and knocking on doors, specifically on Amendment 4. This BS explanation, his excuse of, well, it's federalism and that's a state issue. There are babies being killed if we went the wrong way on Amendment 4. There were going to be children who were going to be murdered in the womb. He is not pro-life. He is pro-choice. He is pro-abortion. And I wish he would would just be honest about that. I mean, I can't stand the Democrats, but you got to give them credit. At least they're honest about the fact that they support abortion up until the moment of birth. He plays this game where he discovered Christ in a Cracker Barrel parking lot. Listen, if you discovered Christ, then you should go read up on Luke chapter 4, where our Lord and Savior says, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do as I say?" He invokes Christianity every chance he can get, but he never once stood up for the important Christian cause of life. We must protect unborn life in Florida, and there have been no greater defenders of that than Ron DeSantis, Jay Collins, Casey DeSantis, and I'm proud to say our Attorney General, James Othmeyer.
All right, I'm backed up with hands. I'm going to get to Vincent, then I got Chris Nelson, and then I got the great Cook Goose. All right, Vincent, you've been on hold for all. I'm so sorry. How are you?
Oh, hello, DeSantis Appreciations. This is my first time participating in your chat. You have been making some very good posts, and I have been following your account for a few months. And I'm very appreciative and very thankful that an account like this, like yours, is here just to explain how your governor is doing and just responding to what we can say baseless accusations. You know, like you were one of the first accounts that was just fighting back against all the just calling out people accusing the current governor of the whole Florida stuff, and you've just been defending the first lady, the governor, and then the current lieutenant governor against baseless accusations. One of the reasons that I'm here though is like just talking about 2026. My first thing I will say is August 18, next year, 2026. That's the day of the primaries. That's when y'all are able to vote, and hopefully there are going to be many guys to go against Byron Donalds.
We don't want many. We want a really good one.
Jay. I think Jay Collins could be good. He's a good one. Like just working with the DeSantis administration, and then his background and just fighting for our country, and then even losing a leg for it. That's a lot. I think he has a really strong case against Donalds. And you guys made a good comment, like, hey, where was he during the Florida amendment votes in 2024? And then when I in my response, like, why the heck is he campaigning for Jack Ciattarelli in New Jersey? Because DeSantis made a lot of effort in the Florida amendments, and that because of that he won. Meanwhile, Byron Donalds becomes a spokesperson for the RNC, and was campaigning for New Jersey. And what happens? Mikey Sherrill wins by larger margins compared to Phil Murphy in 2021. It's like, what is Donald thinking?
And by the way, let me just say that Byron Donalds put out more posts about the New Jersey election and the Virginia election than he did amendments 3 and 4, and that to me is disqualifying. Sorry, Vincent, keep going.
And yeah, that's totally right. Like I see his face in Fox News or any other account talking about any other thing other than Florida issues, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be if you want to run for Florida, you have to talk Florida issues. Like I was been looking into the New Jersey race a little bit, like for the past few years in their primary, and Mikey Sherrill, a congresswoman, was talking national issues when her Democrat opponents, were like, hey man, hey lady, please talk about New Jersey issues and the turnpike and whatnot. And finally she did. My last thing, and this is probably my last one, is I hope you guys get a good candidate by August 18, 2026 for the Republican nominee, because if Byron is against the very deplorable Randy Fine, I really feel like Democrats could at least cut the margins compared to 2022.
Yeah.
But if Donalds loses that's a really whole repudiation like on him and the Republican brand he and Trump is trying to make. So thank you, DeSantis. Appreciation.
Good stuff. Thank you, man. All right, let me just say before I get to Chris Nelson, the great Chris Nelson. That's the one thing is that if Byron Donalds was to run tomorrow, he wouldn't have a wide array of support. You can't rely on the fact that I can tell you right now, the 20% of people that delivered it for DeSantis will not come out and vote for Byron Donalds. Let me repeat that: the 20% of people that came out for DeSantis will not vote for Byron Donalds because he hasn't earned it. Ron DeSantis earned that 20-point win. Byron Donalds is being handed his position in the nomination right now. That's the difference, okay? We experienced it firsthand. And speaking of experiencing it firsthand, Chris Nelson experienced it firsthand. And by the way, what happened to Mayor Dean?
Oh man, that's bad news there. He got beat up by his boyfriend and dragged across the street, allegedly, according to the report, on Halloween night. And I guess this is a thing that's been going on. So he's now charged with elder abuse. And this was the boyfriend that our mayor, who is openly gay, if you haven't figured that out yet, took on a taxpayer-funded trip to Paris. I still want Blaze and Golia to look into that, but that's all for another time. I'm here to talk about James Fishback, who, my God, man, it's so good to hear somebody with some passion behind them. And let me tell you, man, if you got Randy Fine, if you got his panties all in a bunch, and him screaming in the phone at you for I don't know how you stayed on the phone with that guy for 30 minutes. But, just the fact that Randy Fine is behind Byron is enough to tell me that we need to get behind somebody else. And just the fact that he doesn't like you, that makes it even better, James. So it's very nice to meet you online here. And I look forward to meeting you in person.
Well, thank you, Chris. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. I grew up in Davie, so I know it well. And thank you for the work that you've done. The clipping of all the DeSantis stuff is awesome. I know that a lot of us don't get the chance to watch it live, but when you clip it and share it, we can see our great governor in action. So thank you for that.
Well, he's the only interesting person out there right now that's, and him and his cabinet, of course, with what they're doing. And, we're really in a time right now where we've got... I don't know if you've noticed it, but there are actually Americans in this country, and we've got political parties on both sides of the aisle that only care what the billionaires think. The Miriam Adelsons, and on and on. Whoever's filling up Byron's kitty. Who, by the way, I don't know why Byron can't just use his own money that he is acquired through insider trading while in Congress, and He's got the donors behind him, obviously, and right now you're seeing a problem with politics. Sorry, I think I'm yelling. I end up yelling into the thing. Sometimes we see a problem, or we're seeing a problem right now with Americans being put last. And I get what the other guy said, what Mark said, that you're allowed, you got the identity politics going on with anybody, but you can't say anything about white people being out of work, losing their jobs, but not just white people. Americans, period, have been put last. You got the government shutdown going on right now, and then you've got them, having fancy balls still. You've got people in media that make $20 million a year lecturing us about anti-Semitism or whatever. And it's like, hey, look, okay, all these issues, I'm sure they're all really important, but right now, we can't buy a home. We are living in an apartment in our 40s, okay? Are we ever going to be able to buy a home? Not the way things are going right now. And that's what people care about right now. And then you're out there speaking to those things. And I really appreciate that, James. So my question for you is this, okay? You talked about my clips. We had a great speech from Governor DeSantis in his bow tie and his tuxedo, and First Lady Casey DeSantis spoke too when he got the William F. Buckley Award, and he went through his greatest hits. Okay, and these clips are always the best. These clips always tend to go viral. One that's gone viral right now, where he talks about we're at a 50-year low in our crime rate. Okay, we have Byron Donalds, who put forth a bill with his name on it to increase the threshold of felony theft to $1,000. What DeSantis calls a jailbreak bill. Okay,
$1,500.
$1,500. Okay, so and this was back when this was before George Floyd, but he was crying about Trayvon Martin or something like that. And we now have a law and order state where we're at a 50-year low. DeSantis removed 2 Soros-backed prosecutors. My question to you is: would you continue that kind of policy? Would you have the guts to stand up in the face of being called a racist and all these other things, and be able to do something like remove Soros-backed prosecutors? Would you be continuing as governor what Governor DeSantis has done and get our state debt down to zero? Will you? Because I'll tell you something else. The teachers unions, they're all just waiting in the cut for Governor DeSantis to go away, to get a weak, spineless Republican like Byron Donalds in there, who will usher in their return to where they were before, and putting all their ideology in the schools and things like that. Because the things that DeSantis has done can be reversed, and they can be reversed quickly. And we are probably going to see a I don't know if it's going to be a blue wave, but Republicans are not predicted to do very well coming up, because the party has let the base down. The party's lecturing the base. All these podcast hosts are crying about anti-Semitism. That's all they care about. It's just, we get it. We're all anti-Semites, all right? But are we going to talk about buying a home? What about affordability of things? What about jobs? What about the H-1Bs taking away jobs? So what are you going to do? How are you going to keep the victories of Governor DeSantis going? And what are you going to add to them if you are Governor James Fishback?
Wow, Chris, what a question. So let me just start with the first thing, is that I don't think anyone can truly fill Governor DeSantis' shoes because of what he's had to go through the last 7 years. And it wasn't just Democrats calling him racist. A lot of Republicans, like Byron Donalds siding with Kamala Harris against our own governor and the people of Florida. Absolutely. Look at Monique, by the way, in Orange County, right? The way she stands with criminals. I would have no reservation whatsoever about using my powers under the state constitution to remove any person who violates.
What is Trump BS crazy videos? I don't know what you're talking about. Do you mean Trump BS?
It's the law. Anyone who is actually siding with criminals as opposed to victims, you cannot have that. But I think a bigger discussion has to be had as well. And I'm such a big fan of Jay Collins, but I just want to speak truth for a moment, respectfully, to the Lieutenant Governor. Now is your moment. We need you to step up and jump into this fight now.
Yeah, Trump is definitely failing this.
Now, we need you. Paul Renner, I like him. He's a principled guy. He's a principled conservative. But why has he not attacked Byron? Why? Byron is down right now. Now is the time. You cannot run for governor of Florida and hope to win this primary without attacking Byron. And so what I want to see Lieutenant Governor Collins do is actually stand up and say, we're pro what DeSantis did on H-1Bs. We are against more legal immigration into the state. We are against weed, and attack Byron while he's down. If you can't do that, I know the Lieutenant Governor can, then you can't win this race. It is a race against Byron on one hand, but presenting a positive affirmative vision of your own. And so I just wish that our Lieutenant Governor, and I'm sure his timing and what he and his wife are going to think about there, but I want to see him become more public with his criticism. Whatever happens, we have to get behind a unified candidate. This cannot be a 4-person race. If it is, to your point earlier, we have Byron Donalds, who has a high floor and a low ceiling, and he will win. But we need to have one unified candidate. If that is Lieutenant Governor Collins, absolutely. If the First Lady wants to jump in this race, even better. And if I have an opportunity to earn people's trust and to be that unified candidate, I would love to be. But I'm using the platform that I have. I'm not the lieutenant governor of Florida. I don't have the ability to call a press conference anytime. I can go on Fox and CNN and write about these things. But I'm going to continue to use my platform however I can to make sure that Byron Donalds gets nowhere near the governor's mansion, because he will, Chris, to your point, he will undo all of the greatness that Governor DeSantis and First Lady DeSantis fought for us to achieve.
Well, James, it seems like we're going to follow up. It seems a lot of people have your phone number, though, and you got their phone numbers, because I see you on CNN, I see you on Fox Business, I see you saying all the right things. You were fearless going in there on CNN with that table of those, that struggle session there with all those women yelling at you, and you held your ground and you weren't afraid of that. Right now, we got politicians like Byron Donalds who are running scared. He won't come in. He won't even come into this space because he's too afraid, because he doesn't want to be confronted on any of these things.
He won't debate. And he won't debate either. I mean, two different turning point chapters, rather one turning point chapter at UCF and another at UF, the college Republicans at UF, both invited me and Byron to debate. And I said, look, if I'm a declared candidate, I'll be there. I haven't made that decision yet. I'm just thinking about it more with my family and what the next steps are going to be. Is Byron Donalds going to show up and debate at the University of Central Florida and at the University of Florida? That's the real question, because here's how I think we win this primary. We've got to front load the debates. We cannot wait till the Fox News and WSVN debate in the summer. We have to have debates in early 2026 with Lieutenant Governor Collins and Byron, or with me and Byron, but let's have a united front. If you put me on a stage with Byron Donalds, I will make you proud. I will expose him for his poor logic, his poor decision-making, and every single thing he's done to backstab Governor DeSantis and First Lady DeSantis. I will do everything in my power and whatever it takes to make sure that we can preserve Governor DeSantis' historic track record. I'll go into the Lion's Den on CNN, wherever it is. I've spoken up about these issues, but whoever we are going to pick to lead this charge, we have to be unified. And I welcome questions about the work that I've done in the past. I welcome questions about whatever it may be. I want to earn people's trusts, and if the trust goes behind another candidate, I will be behind that candidate 110%.
Thanks, James.
This is the fire we need. This is the fire we need from a candidate, and unfortunately, I just don't see it from Jay Collins yet. Maybe he's holding back.
He's not a candidate yet. But let me get to Cook Goose. She's been up for a while. Oh, Cook Goose, one of my favorite people in the world. Hi, Cook Goose.
Today, DeSantis appreciation.
Sorry to keep you on hold.
No, it's been interesting. James, you were in a space the other morning, since it's sort of all attention is on you right now. And you spoke a lot about America first, right? And you were heading out to a meeting with Jay Collins for breakfast or something, and you weren't able to clearly define it. Now, I've heard this other gentleman, Mark here, speak about American supremacists. Can you define what you mean and how, I've seen a lot of anger directed. Now, let me just tell you, I live in the district where we were, a candidate was foisted on us. We all know who it is, Randy Fine. We did not want him here, but Mar-a-Lago determined that's who we were going to get, and we got him. And that's another whole can of worms. Susie Wiles and Donald Trump, who clearly have some animus directed at our governor, and who will, stick it to as many counties, in my opinion, as they're able to do, and districts. So, a lot has been said about Randy Fine and the fact that he is a Jew. And you speak of America first. Mark spoke of it. Chris spoke of it. How do you sort of danced around the edge the other morning? I know you're a debater. You're very good at speaking, but break it down for us in terms of our governor, who has a great fondness for the people of Israel. In fact, without his hard work, the embassy would have never been moved to Jerusalem. So how do you square all that? And I'm an immigrant. I'll just tell you that flat out. My kids are born to a Persian man. They're half Persian. They're half my ethnicity. And so this dancing around this almost white supremacist stuff is very concerning to me, and I will not support any candidate, yourself included, And go ahead and laugh, Mark. And Chris, I know you've already, called me a lot of things over this, but this is.
I just want to point out, I was up there with my hand up. You can't see it up right now, but I was up there with my hand up for like a freaking hour before they got back around to me. And this lady's sitting here calling me a white supremacist when I just asked about representation of white people in our government, like every other ethnic group. Like, why is it that Mexicans can have what do they call it, a caucus? Black people can have a caucus. Everybody else, Somalians can have a caucus, Indians have a caucus. But if you want a caucus as a white person for white rights, right, and for our interests, our cultural preservation and whatnot, everybody's like, oh no, you're a Nazi, a white supremacist, racist. No, bitch, I just want representation for my people. Like, I'm proud of my heritage too. What's wrong with that? Like, you're being racist as hell, calling me a freaking white supremacist for wanting representation and wanting to be able to, speak for my people.
This is not tenable, in my opinion, in the state of Florida.
I don't disagree with anything that you said. Let's just talk about the candidate that was foisted on you by the Mar-a-Lago billionaires for just a moment. The fact that Randy Fine is a Jew does not make him against America First. It's the fact that he said, and with respect to children starving in Gaza, quote, starve away, that he
I know that he said that, but that's
right.
I'm talking about you are very strong with America First, and for some people that's code language, and that concerns me because
sure.
I have people here laughing right now at me.
Okay,
saying this publicly, but this is not 1930s. This is not Germany. My parents lived through that, and this is not tenable. I'm sorry.
I thank you for the question. Let me say how I define America First. America First means talking about affordability and not talking about starting a war in Venezuela. America First means standing up for unborn life in Florida, not trying to ship more weapons to Ukraine. America First means looking out for the people of Florida and our state, the retirees, the working families, getting Blackstone out of our communities, and not trying to justify more Middle East entanglements. So when I mean
one quick question, where were you during Amendments 3 and 4?
Where was I? I was at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church, which I've been a member of for years now, knocking on doors in Madison County, trying to get these issues out there, specifically Amendment 4.
On the TV, and you were all over Twitter.
I did not have a TV. The first time I went on Fox News was seriously in politics was probably in late 2024, so a year ago. I did not have a platform. Nobody had my number. I've been blessed with great relationships, but I could not have gotten on Fox News if you paid me $1 million. I didn't have those relationships.
You have a relationship with Susie Wiles?
I don't have a relationship with her.
Have you met with her?
I've met her twice in my life. I've never actually met with her in a specific meeting, but I was at Mar-a-Lago for breakfast once. A friend offered to have me there, and I ran into her there over breakfast. And then I met her at a Republican gathering this past summer.
So how do you square not coming out against the head of the snake then, which is Donald Trump, which is the one who is foisting Byron Donalds on us?
So I actually disagree with respect that President Trump is the one doing this. I think his advisors have convinced him that Byron is a good candidate. The president has 1,000 different things going on at once. I know that. I've spoken to the president about these issues before. He has a lot going on right now, and he has advisors who are making a bad decision by trying to foist Byron Donalds on us.
He is, the buck stops with him.
Oh, I don't disagree with you.
State at this size, with this much to lose. Governor DeSantis has, I know just from watching him and fortunately being able to attend many events, especially when he fought against Amendments 3 and 4, he and his wife, more than anyone, and Dr. Latipo, crisscrossed this state back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Get these amendments defeated here, and they were very narrowly defeated.
very narrowly.
So, it's a concern for me.
Well, I understand your concern. I got to tell you, I think it would be a very legitimate concern for someone like Byron who had a TV platform. I wasn't on Fox News until maybe December of last year for the first time talking about politics. I had been on years before talking about my nonprofit Incubate Debate, which is a no-cost debate league in Florida, specifically serving rural communities. So I think your concern is genuine when you hold Byron Donalds to that standard or someone in elected office. But I was literally just running my own business, and I had maybe 4,000 Twitter followers. But I can tell you, I was doing the work of St. Vincent de Paul, my parish. I'm a proud Catholic. I've been since the day I was born, knocking on doors, talking with people about the importance and the dignity of life, that we are all created in God's image. I believe that life begins at conception and ends at natural death. I'm going to use my platform now, but I just didn't have a platform to be able to talk about it. But I did knock on doors in my community to stand up for Amendment 4. But I got to be honest, it was people like Casey DeSantis and James Othmeyer and Ron DeSantis who really carried us over the edge on that one.
They did. So let me just clarify, just for my own perspective, because it sounds like you're dancing with the idea of running. And I will say, you speak very well. Your debate skills and your verbal skills are tremendous. But I just want to verify that this sort of underlying anti-Semitic sort of train that's been running through a lot of people in this movement is not something you would embrace.
No, I don't embrace vicious racial or ethnic animosity in any situation ever. But I have to disagree just for a moment, if I may, about this definition of anti-Semitism, just for a moment. Anti-Semitism has now been defined as criticism of the Israeli government, of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh, that's not what I'm talking about.
No, I want to know.
That are saying just because Randy Fine takes money from AIPAC, he's somehow, tainted by Israeli money. That's baloney. This is an American organization. So, I'm sorry. I think our definitions are the same.
Well, that's perhaps. I mean, the International Holocaust Remembrance Agency's definition of anti-Semitism, which has now been adopted by many state governments, says that holding Israel to a double standard or a higher standard of other countries constitutes anti-Semitism. I reject that. But to answer your question, I do reject every form of vigorous, vicious racial and ethnic discrimination. And look, I am not going to make this decision without people getting to know and trust me.
Let me just parse that out, because I do writing for a big company, and you said vigorous. So what do you mean by vigorous?
Well, vigorous to mean relentlessly going
what
after.
If it's not relentless and it's just occasional anti-Semitism?
Well, so then that's why I would go to vicious. So any type of vicious racial or ethnic discrimination is wrong. That is absolutely wrong in this country.
You mean like what Randy Fine shows for the children in Gaza, that kind of thing, right?
That kind of defending that, Chris. I'm not defending that. So don't put words in my mouth.
But here's what
Randy Fine is a genocidal maniac, okay? Let's just be real.
Nobody voted. I didn't vote for him, and he
stabbed Ron DeSantis in the back in the most disgusting way.
Thank you.
I wasn't even talking to you.
Excuse me, it was my turn to talk, Chris. So you've had.
You've been going on for a while, so wrap it up.
I beg your pardon. Is that like go make me a sandwich?
Keep going, Cuckoo.
Sure, but I'll make a sandwich.
Keep going, Cuckoos. All right, well, let Cuckoos, because I just want to.
Another morning, James, in space. If you come in the diner, we'll chat then. I appreciate you answering. It's a lot to digest, but thank you.
It is, and let me just say this. I'll always stand up for the protection of every single person, of every race, ethnicity, or religion. I'm a Christian. I am not, going to hide that fact. I'm unapologetically so. But here's the truth. I want to meet people across our state and get the type of challenging questions that I have to answer. That's how we earn the trust. So I don't expect anything less, and I thank you for that question.
And stay up here, Cuckoos, all right, because I just want to say this. I was a victim of anti-Semitism. Okay, when I was a kid growing up, and none of that garbage. I ain't tolerating it, and nobody should.
This is obviously there's a couple of the dude that's hosting the space is a Jewish guy. That girl that was talking cooked goose in Florida. That's obviously a Jew. These people are the most anti-Semitic people on the planet right now. The Israeli government, at least, is the most anti-Semitic people on the planet because Palestinians are a Semitic people and they are genociding them right now. So they are literally the most anti-Semitic people on the planet right now. I just want to point that out.
Because it is a terrible wound. I won't put up with any of it. And neither should anybody, because the fact remains, I've got my problems with Randy Fox.
No, that's not Ron DeSantis. It's a DeSantis Appreciation Society. I don't know the dude's actual name that runs it. And why do I believe in a fictitious sky wizard? I don't know what a fictitious sky wizard is, but I do believe in God. Do you believe we're on a rock floating around in a solar system that was created ex nihilo from a Big Bang? Is that what you believe?
Fine. Randy Fine was anti-DeSantis in his later part of his term. He, in fact, was on Dana Lash's show and during the immigration thing, and he said that DeSantis to head up immigration was going to appoint somebody from the deep state. I mean, I don't even know what this guy's talking about. So it's got nothing to do with Randy Fine. I appreciate the fact that he sticks up for Israel. I say this as a Jew, but in terms of being something for Floridians in Florida 6, he's terrible, and we need a better primary there. And hopefully we get, another thorough primary up in Florida 6 where Randy Fine can answer to the fact that he's turned his back on his district to, again, be a campaign mouthpiece. So again, I will have none of that ever in my spaces because as somebody that grew up Jewish, that spent plenty of time in Jewish school, I ain't putting up with any of that garbage. And a lot of Florida voters will not either.
Appreciation, like we grew up in Broward County, or like James from Broward County. I live in Broward County. Like half my friends are Jews. Like there's Jewish people all around, but it's like, none of the Jewish people that I ever interact with are.
You, Miss Mingo, you have a problem with ivermectin? What in the hell is you? I mean, seriously. I bet you took COVID shots and boosters and everything else too. Are you familiar with the latest congressional hearings on the COVID jab and how much it's killing people? Do you even know about any of this?
Are crying about anti-Semitism or this or that, or it's the only time you see it is when it's a Randy Fine or somebody like that using it as a political weapon against people. And so I think that for when you live around a lot of Jewish people, like I do, like we all do, like when you live in a big city like down South Florida, you just don't see that or think about it. But then you get browbeat by it, by politicians and people with a political microphone who are trying to get their political enemies canceled.
You don't got to be anti-Semitic to call out Israel and their involvement in our government and how stupid it is that we're letting a foreign nation. We're doing things that are affecting Americans negatively to benefit a foreign nation. I mean, I don't want any foreign nation. It's not just Jew. It's all the Jews' fault and all this crap. I want their influence out of our government, and I want to end usury lending at interest that's bleeding American people, the middle class, and even the lower class dry.
Canceled and things like that.
Yeah, that's fair. But again, at the end of the day, listen, man. I had my nose broken by a guy because I was wearing a kippah coming out of school. I ain't forgetting that anytime soon.
Well, you should have slapped him in the face with it then.
Is that my turn to talk?
But again, hold on, Warren. I got some backup here because I had somebody before you. All right. So again, but let me circle back to what the spirit of the space was thinking. And let me just say this: I'm looking at everyone here. I got 35 anonymous. So if there's anybody from the Donald's campaign or anybody associated wants to come up and speak, if you're anonymous, please.
I don't know what Agent Orange is. I don't know what that means.
Please, please do, because I'll be, James is here, and I don't think anybody could sustain anybody associated with the Donald's campaign, myself and James Fishback cross-examining anybody on the.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did vote for Trump, but he's turned his back on his voters. He's not giving us mass deportations. He's not arrested the people in the deep state, protecting Jeffrey Epstein, protecting Charlie Kirk's murder. I mean, this is wild how he's turned his back on the American people.
On the lack of merit that Byron Donalds has. But
where's Byron? Where's Byron? Get his fat ass up here. Where's he?
I got to back up. Sorry. So I have. Let me get to Brent, and then I got Warren. I'm Warren. I'm sorry. I'm just been so backed up with hands, and I apologize for my dogs. So Brent, let me get to you. How are you?
Good. How are you? And I'll be quick. And I just a short question. So the swing in the midterms was pretty significant to the Democrats in both New Jersey and Virginia. It was especially significant was the Hispanic community. And most of this has been about the primary.
Miss Mingo thinks it's hilarious that our government or a foreign government or some mix thereof is assassinating American citizens on live TV. Yeah, go fuck yourself, Miss Mingo.
But given that swing, are you more concerned about the general election? And
did I just lose Brent?
I don't hear him anymore.
All right, yeah. Well, I guess here's where I'm thinking is that I mentioned it earlier. The energy right now is with the Democrats, but again, you got to take that with a grain of salt. And James, I want you to come in.
I didn't like Kirk either, but I didn't realize he was coming around to the Israel question, and now that I knew that he was coming around to not being a pro-Israel cuck, I like him a lot more once he did that. But just leaving Kirk's kids alone for God, you're just such a troll. You're retarded.
These were blue states, Virginia, obviously, and Jersey. But at the end of the day, and it was to be expected. But it sends a message that the GOP is they're taking their voters for granted, and as again, I was a big fan of the immigration stuff. That's what Trump got elected on for the most part. But there's a lot of tone deafness coming out there. And again, imagery is very important in politics. The fact that he's got the private donors, rebuilding the wing at the White House. I don't care who it's funded by. I think it's tone deaf because, when people's health insurance premiums are getting raised and people are losing their flights because they're canceling 10% of flights, these are things that are affecting everyday Americans. And I want to say this, and this is how I feel. 2016 MAGA was a fun movement. I was part of it. It was a fun movement. I don't know, James, if you were part of 2016 MAGA. It was fun. These guys aren't fun to me. They're very aggressive. It's very, we got the power now, so we're going to forget about what got us here. So I think that they need to understand that people are hurting, and it's not going to be a panacea. It's not going to be overnight, but at least say, look, we understand it. We feel your pain, to quote Bill Clinton, and we're going to get things better.
That's exactly right. I couldn't agree with you more. This is not a time for complacency. It was just 7 years ago that Ron DeSantis beat out Andrew Gillum by 30,000 votes, less than 0.5%. This is so much this idea that the Republican Party of Florida is the reason why we have all these new registered Republicans. Bull crap. That's a slanderous lie. The reason Governor DeSantis won by 20 points in 22, the reason why we have 1.5 million more registered Republicans than Democrats is because of his leadership style. It has nothing to do with voter registration forms or fancy overpriced consultant social media campaigns. That's a lie. And I got to tell you the truth. If it's Byron Donalds versus Jerry Demings, that race is going to be way too close for comfort. Way, way too close for comfort. And that's what we cannot tolerate. And as far as I'm concerned, who cares if Byron wins, if he's going to undo all the stuff like Jerry Demings would, and is going to end up undoing Governor DeSantis' legacy. Who cares if there's an R or a D next to their name for the next governor? We need someone in there who's going to unapologetically say, Ron DeSantis is the greatest there ever was and greatest there'll ever be. I'm not going to rise to that occasion, but what I am going to do is I'm going to preserve it. And let me just say this for a moment. Whoever the next governor is has to be able to have a great relationship with Ron DeSantis, to be able to pick up the phone and ask the governor, what do you think we should do here? And you're maybe not going to always agree with him, but I would want to have that relationship with Governor DeSantis, that I could be able to turn to him as an advisor, the most senior advisor in the state. Keep him close, because his leadership, what he has seen, having to deal with the Danny Perez's of the world, that is the kind of relationship you need to preserve Florida.
Thanks, James. All right, let me get to Warren, because I'm backed up on hands and I'm backed up. So, Warren, how are you? Happy?
All right, the space is glitching, and I don't want to hear what Warren has to say anyway. He's a retard. I got some stuff I gotta get to. I've already been streaming for an hour and a half, so if y'all want to finish it up again. This is hold on. This is this guy put on the space at Kickboxer ESQ, which is DeSantis Appreciation Society, and the main speaker that everybody was questioning was James Fishback. Seems pretty based to me. I'm definitely going to be following him very closely. I hope y'all have a great day, great Sunday. I got to start preparing for Sunday dinner with the family. I got a lot of stuff to do. I hope that y'all enjoy